This is the third video writing names for ionic and polyatomic compounds. Just trying to get a general sense of how to write names for these guys. And we'll go through one that's a little bit more complicated, NiO. And we'll actually end up having to write out steps for everything in the RIME, W-R-I-M-E acronym. Okay? So first thing, we need to write the name of the metal and the non-metal. So Ni, let's find that. Again, we know that's what comes first in names and formulas is the metal. So let's find the metal. Again, metals are on the left-hand side in the middle, and when we look through it, we find Ni. That's nickel. So let's write down the name nickel. And then we have O. All right, let's find O. Non-metals come second, and non-metals are generally on the right-hand side. And if you can't find it here, then it's a polyatomic ion, and it's found on the back of the periodic table. So there's your O. That's oxygen. So let's write oxygen. Oh, wait, no, that's not quite right. We're dealing with an ionic substance. So oxygen, we're not supposed to write oxygen in this manner. All right, look at the back of your periodic table. You see names for some non-metals. So there's oxygen, and when we write oxygen in a name, it's supposed to be ending in IDE, oxide. So our name is not this, but oxide. Now the second step says we need to reverse the crisscross if the metal gets multiple charges. Well, let's see if that's true. Nickel. We find nickel, and there it is right there. It gets a positive 2 or a positive 3 charge. So it can have multiple charges, and we have to figure out which one nickel has in this particular substance. So we have to reverse the crisscross. So when we write it, it says NiO. Well, remember, we don't write ones. So let's write them in, and we're going to reverse the crisscross. So that guy goes up there, and that one goes up there. So our charge now is Ni, positive 1, and O, negative 1. Remember, metals get positive charges, and non-metals get negative 1 charge. Now we have to check the charges. Check the charge specifically on a non-metal. Does oxygen, in fact, get a charge of negative 1? When we look at our periodic table, we notice, it actually gets a negative 2. So we're identifying that the non-metal charge is correct or not, and it's not. So we have to do something about it. So the second last step says we have to multiply the charges if necessary, and it is necessary. We have to get this charge correct. So what we do is we put brackets around it, and then we multiply the charges here by something that will get the non-metal correct. We know that oxygen gets a charge of negative 2. So we've multiplied this by 2. Now what we get is charges of, well, if we rewrite it, now it's Ni positive 2 and O negative 2. So the charge of the oxygen is correct. The charge of the nickel is now positive 2. So now we do the last step. We edit the names, added Roman numerals. So now it's nickel. Charge is positive 2, so you write in Roman numerals II. And again, we find that on the periodic table on the back of your sheet there. 2 is II. And then we rewrite the name of the nonmetal, oxide, and we're done.